Hi everyone, this is Sandra with Bronze Point Ceramics, and here's another video on how to clean Greenware. The piece I'm going to be showing you how to clean today is this sloth piece right here, which it's really interesting to me because it has a lot of different texture going around the entire seam line. So let's go ahead and put this aside, and before I get started I want to show you all of the different tools that I work with. Alright, and so I've laid out all the tools that I normally use here. Let's go through them very quickly. This is a Greenware filer. Have a few dotting tools here, some scraping tools, brushes, X-Acto knife, texture tools, sponges in different sizes, container with water, easy do mender, and a container with slip. Alright, so now that I've set my tools aside, I'm going to start cleaning this piece by removing the seam line. And I do it using this particular tool. You could use any other ones that are similar in nature. This one just happens to be one that I personally enjoy using a lot. And so I'm going around the piece here and just scraping off as much of the seam line as I can, but still being careful not to pretty much ruin the piece. Okay, make sure that you do the same thing here at the bottom. Okay, once I'm done removing as much of that line as I can, my next step is going to be to smooth that out, and I do that with the filer here. So I just go around it and try to remove as much of that line as it is still noticeable. I like to keep this towel here because it helps me catch all that dust in there, as you can see. And right now the towel that I'm using is completely dry, but I like to dampen it a little bit. It just helps keep the dust in one place. Same thing here at the bottom. Want to make sure I remove as much of that line as possible. That actually looks pretty good. This is a much easier piece to clean than what you might initially think. Okay. Happy with how it looks so far. Can still see a little bit of the line right there. If you kind of move it around, you can kind of tell where the line was. I'm not too worried about it right now because I will try to hide it a little bit more as I re-add some of the detail on this piece. So let me stop right there. And very quickly, I'm gonna take care of the bottom. That's what I use my sponges for. Just dip them in water and go around this area. It's fairly easy. You get a perfectly nice circle there at the bottom. Okay. So this part is pretty much done. This is all smooth around the piece. I'm going to have to now re-add some of the detail. And so for that, I'm just looking around and trying to see which tool I might use. I think I want to give this one a try. And so what I'm trying to do now is starting from the line, the natural line that the piece has, I'm going to try to continue it across over that seam line, where that seam line was. And so what that's going to help me do is make sure that the line doesn't look like it doesn't belong there. It will look literally like it just, you know, it's meant to continue, right? So I don't know if you can kind of see it, but I'm re-adding some of that detail there. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to blend in as much as possible. And if it is a little bit too noticeable at first, don't worry too much about it, because we will try to disguise it in a minute. And it does help to have a steady hand. Okay, so once I'm done adding those lines, I'm going to try to blend them in with my sponge. You just want to be careful not to overdo it. So I'm gonna go around the whole piece, kind of smoothing out these lines. Okay, so once you're done with the piece, you want to try to use the sponge to kind of blend those lines in. So I'm just going around them. You don't want to overdo it, because the sponge will take away some of that detail that you added back. So you want to just be careful to do it just enough. Same thing on the other side. Okay. So now I'm just doing a quick check to see where I might still see any resemblance of that seam line, and going over it again. You can always bring the filer back in too. I'm just gonna, you can see a little bit of the line here, so I'm trying to make sure it's completely gone. Okay, but I think other than that, this looks pretty good. Can hardly see where the line was, and you know, I see that the texture is flowing the way that it should, so I'm pretty happy with it, and I think it's gonna look great once it's fired in the kiln.